What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode on the Tom Crown channel. I am Tom Crown. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Today is Friday, and we have some stuff to look at. We've had a very exciting week in Bitcoin, and today I wanted to take a look at some charts that you might not be aware of. Charts that are at all-time highs, yet no one seems to really notice. I'm going to give you my opinion on them. Don't take this as financial advice. Please just take it as my opinion. I want you to make your own analysis, disagree with me, agree with me, share your thoughts. Together as a community, we are much smarter than individually. So, if you enjoy these streams, please hit that like button, subscribe, join the fam, you know the deal. Check out joincrowncrypto.com, our new premium group. After this stream, we're actually going to have an exclusive stream in there, Q&A trading session. There's still time to sign up, get a free week trial, and join us for that. So anyway, Bitcoin, unfortunately, not at an all-time high yet. Yesterday's close, amazing. Blowing everyone out of the water with a 6% candle, which feels like a god candle now. But 6% candle closing over its 786 fib at 100.8K. At this point, guys, does not seem like there is really any resistance above us. Flip to that monthly we looked at yesterday. You can see already trading above January's close, the highest monthly close in Bitcoin history. Closing May out here will be the highest close in Bitcoin history. I believe it also will make for the highest weekly close. Let me see. And of course on some other time frames, almost 104.5. Looking at this chart, we have, in my opinion, no significant resistance until the all-time high at 109-ish thousand. That's pretty exciting considering last month people were convinced the bear market was here, the top was in, and things were changing. Without getting too into the chart of Bitcoin specifically, we will circle back here. Let's look at these all-time high charts. These are the best kind of hopium that there is because they're describing things maybe bigger than Bitcoin. Sounds impossible. Bigger than crypto, bigger than Bitcoin. What? The M2 supply, a chart that we have long watched on this channel and is now a big topic of discussion thanks to Benjamin Cohen. The M2 supply was updated April 22nd by the Federal Reserve. And on that update, for the first time in 3 years, the M2 supply reached an all-time high. Little counterintuitive. I don't have an explanation yet. I'm still doing my homework. But all-time highs. We hadn't seen this since April of 22. M2 took a very rare, if not the only instance I can find of this happening. Called a bear market, called a retracement. M2 supply actually shrank over the course of a year by 5%. And if you go back and look at the Fed's data, this really has never happened. Maybe overprinting due to COVID, over creation of money due to COVID. I'm not sure. But if you go back, there really is no event like this in the M2 history. There's these little moves down that represent what? Maybe a quarter of percent, something like that. They're very short-lived. It's interesting that we had this kind of unique event. You can see in 2020, this exploded, and maybe that was a correction back to the mean or something of M2 creation. But the bigger picture here is that money never stops printing. This is why we Bitcoin. This is the premise of all of it, is that once money is printed and once it can be printed, it never stops and it inflates until, well, you can't kick the can down the road anymore until everything collapses. Since this data goes all the way back to 1959, M2 supply has increased by 7,500% over the course of 60 years. This will never stop. If anything, we can say this will never stop, and I will even argue, I'll make this argument with you, that this we'll never see this again. We'll never see a meaningful pullback like this again. I think this chart will just go up and continue to go up and accelerate. So what does this really mean? We hear a lot about M2. Let me look up the actual definition. Really, this is just a liquid, the Fed's estimate of liquid assets, usually pertaining to dollars. So let me, M2 definition. I had it here, but I don't want to misquote because there's a lot of confusion around this chart. Let me see. Measurement of U.S. liquid money supply. There you go. So money that can easily be moved, that isn't locked up, that isn't, in a timed mechanism or something. Typically what? Savings, checkings, short-term saving vehicles, things like that. This is money that can be invested. The significance of it reaching an all-time high just cannot be understated. This means there is more money available to be invested. And in fact, to see this have topped out in 2022 is a little confusing to me, because if you remember, that's pretty close to the end of the bear market, not just in crypto, but in stocks as well. We saw in November-ish of 22, stocks, Bitcoin, crypto all bottom out and reverse and really not look back since then. It's interesting that M2 hit its highest point there and then pulled back. You would almost expect this to have done that sooner, maybe in 2021, and then the trough here of this M2 supply being maybe around that November 22 date. As I figure this out, I'll share with you. If you guys have any thoughts, please share them in chat. I'm curious. We have a lot of smart people here. This bottomed out October of 23, and that's really when things started heating up. Bitcoin really was undeniably in a bull market again. Same with stocks and other assets. As the money supply increased about 5% since then, most charts have been just up. Now, to dispel some confusion so we can understand this a little better, there's a lot of confusion about this chart. Not really outside of crypto. People don't look at this, which is interesting to me. M2 money supply. So you likely, when you think of this, are thinking of global M2. Global M2 is going to be different. This chart right here by the Fed is only pertaining to the US. There is global M2, which I'll tell you about and why I think it's kind of flawed, but this is just dollars. This is just US dollars, US assets. Global M2 would obviously be other countries' M2s all combined together with the US's to get one big number. There are some issues here. You guys love asking me about Benjamin Cohen's videos, and to be honest, I've had to start kind of watching them so I know what you guys are talking about when you bring them up. There's some flaws here. His recent video is about, is M2 lagging or is Bitcoin leading, etc., without even trying to answer that, because I think that's a really complicated question, and I'm not going to pretend I know the answer. I'm going to keep looking at this, keep looking at different perspectives until maybe I have something more concrete, but for now, this is kind of a flawed metric. If you look at the global M2, you'll see something that updates hourly, that updates all the time. That is not true of the US M2. This might be getting complicated because I keep saying M2, right? Here is where the number is taken from. TradingView is just taking this data right here. Okay? Right here. That's what we're seeing charted. You can see the trough here. I accidentally cut out April. No. Oh my. Where's the reset? I need an adult. I need an adult. Where's April's numbers for some reason dropped off there when I zoom in. Essentially taken from them, okay? Here's the issue. This chart did not show an all-time high, despite in March, M2 in the US being at an all-time high. This did not show. We did not know this. We did not have this on the chart until April 22nd, so only about 2 weeks ago. We saw this on a previous stream, and I was kind of shocked, and I shared with you guys, I was kind of shocked by this. The Fed does not update this number in real time. So an issue with the global M2 thought is some countries do, some data sources update hourly, and you'll see it moving around, but basically all of those updated data points from other countries are being added to this lagged data point from the US. And obviously the US is a huge M2. It not being updated in real time and all these other ones creates an issue because you're looking at pretty stale data. We can logically assume here, and this is an assumption that I'm comfortable with, that in March, we hit an all-time high in M2. We've already closed April. April's is going to be higher than March, right? We're going to see this continue up. And in fact, now we're in May. We can probably say, well, likely a higher M2 in April. Likely in May here, we're even higher than April. So where are we? Without that updated data, I find it a little flawed to really make a ton of assumptions on this global M2 thing. I think overall, it is a good metric and it makes sense to look at. If there's more money in the world, there's going to be likely higher asset prices for everything overall as a general thought. My disconnect comes when people are looking at it zoomed in, kind of saying, okay, well, this went up a little bit, and so shouldn't this go up? I'm not sure it works that way. And the reason I don't think it works that way is simply because the Fed does not stay on top of this. I don't know if that's intentional, if it's unintentional, or what, but there is, without a doubt, correlation, connection between these asset prices and Bitcoin included here. So I have something interesting to show you. Remember that date, April 22nd? You probably remember April 22nd because something very interesting happened right here. April 22nd was the day that Bitcoin made a real move, a real breakout. Now, kind of front running it on the 21st, we also saw a green candle that broke our structure and market here, setting a higher high. It'd been the first time in a while. But the 22nd, on this data point update, when the world saw that the US had a higher M2 supply than it had had for years, it had been the first time ever that we had ever seen this number not just be at constant all-time highs. Boom. Bitcoin not only makes a move to the upside, but it makes a meaningful move on the chart. It blasts past its previous monthly highs. It closes a daily candle. Finally, this is crazy. Finally, closes a daily candle at above the yearly open. We had not seen this happen since March 2nd. The yearly open at 93.3. On the 22nd, we saw Bitcoin like a magnet snap to that yearly open and close a green yearly candle, but a green day on a green yearly candle for the first time in a month plus. That shows me in my mind, this is saying this is important. This means something. Bitcoin is absolutely vibing, synergizing, I don't know, feeding off of this number. But then you have to consider, and this is really my full circle. I said, I don't have the answers. I don't have the ultimate conclusion here is it's obviously related. We see some on the chart, but it wasn't until this number was updated that we got this almost satisfying, short satisfying update. Not short satisfying, instant gratifying. Kind of, this happened, then instantly we saw a rally. It happened on that day. On that day. But before, on the 21st, on the 20th and 19th, this data had already existed. There had already been a higher high or an all-time high on M2 supply, yet Bitcoin didn't really notice. So there's a disconnect there also. All it was is that it became public. It wasn't as if like M2 wasn't already at an all-time high and it was only when they published it, if that makes sense. Maybe I'm getting wrapped up in my words here, but as of March, M2 is at an all-time high, yet Bitcoin kept selling off. And then as soon as it was updated, as soon as it was in front of our faces, we saw this strong close, and obviously momentum, or maybe the energy of this chart, has changed. We have seen mostly up since then. Yesterday, closing above 100K, closing above monthly resistance. Actually, yesterday closed 103.2. Pretty freaking wild. Long story short, I don't know. I know you guys are going to ask me about this, so I figured I would look into it. Just being at an all-time high by itself is so meaningful. And I believe that this is a very confident sign that we're going to see other markets move to all-time highs. Now, Bitcoin within a few percent, single-digit percents of its all-time high. Stocks a little bit farther away, a little more ground to make up, but they too have been trending up largely since early April. I don't know how to cut this any other way. Then it is likely that we see all-time highs, maybe not on every asset, maybe not on every individual stock, but overall, that we continue to see all-time highs in this year. It doesn't really, I don't know, I'd be very surprised to see M2 just sell off. We get an April update and all of a sudden it's below 21.75. I don't know about that. I think that this is going to continue out, and let's even use a little bit of our standard analysis here. Just use our fib tool. We have a great video on it on the playlist on our educational free course on this channel. If you don't know about the fib tool, let's just draw the fib tool. This did really well at calling S&P's high back in February. Let's just apply it to M2 here. And that is actually not quite as spicy as I would have assumed. Never done this before. 22.4 trillion, 22.9 trillion. I can see these numbers being achieved maybe over the course of a year, maybe by the end of the year. It's not really until maybe 22.46 or 22.9 that I would at all look for a retracement, but the history of this chart shows us that maybe we never look for a retracement. This really was a one-off. We do not have any other examples, like right here for what? For like a few months. We had a tiny pullback. These are more just like almost errors, calculation errors, than they are like a real significant thing that we saw over the last few years. Spicy. But that's not all. We have more charts. I didn't mean to spend that long on this. We have more charts at all-time highs here, as predicted. This one is maybe the most bullish in my mind signal for the market. Of course, M2 being up there, huge. This huge. When total crypto market cap breaks its all-time high, that's going to be even huger. But for now, Bitcoin versus the S&P. This chart is wild. We've been watching this over the last few weeks. And finally, yesterday, on our beastly rally, stocks basically sitting still, Bitcoin not only broke its all-time high versus the S&P, it closed. It closed a candle at all-time high. If this isn't confirmation of a breakout for BTC USD, I don't know what is. This is such a strong indicator. This chart has become very clean now as we've seen it play out. I don't know why this is connected there. I don't even know why that's there. Our pre-having all-time high was cycle breaking. It changed a lot of people's perspectives as to what to expect into this year, into next year, etc., because we had never seen an all-time high pre-having. However, you look at a chart like this comparing Bitcoin to the S&P, and you can see while that was a beastly rally, it was nowhere near an all-time high. Something also interesting, unrelated, is in 21, the all-time high came in here in March of 21, not in November when compared to the S&P. Spicy, but not what I'm talking about today. Didn't even break it in March, despite that crazy rally into an all-time high for Bitcoin. We did break it, however, coming into November when things got very spicy. We sold off in January and very cleanly back-tested March's monthly resistance. Check this out. This is actually very, very interesting. We've looked at this before. We'll look at it again. Clean monthly back test of resistance as support. Climbed higher. Here we are at all-time high. I don't know. You know, a lot of the time we deal hopium on this channel kind of just because we need it. We need something to keep our minds healthy, happy, not get depressed, not get like beaten down by the market. This is one that is not just hopium. This has substance. The close above all-time high here, I think, indicates Bitcoin is looking for continued strength against stocks. And I don't know how you cut that in a negative way. I don't know how you can look at that bearishly. Let's actually do that same thing. Currently trading at what, an 18.2 to 1 BTC to SPX. We may look for, what is this? This is going to be interesting. To the 1618 extension. What do we got? Get out of here, magnet tool. 20% gain against the stocks, against SPX. Just to the 1618. That's kind of cool. I wonder where that would put us. We'll look in a second. 33% to that measured move target. Both of these on the table for this year. Things have changed. The 180 that we have seen just over the last 72 hours is just mind-boggling. It is very, I'll say, characteristic of a Bitcoin bull market. Whatever it takes to get people bored, whatever it takes to get them out to say that this run's over, just to melt their faces as soon as they capitulate. Very characteristic. 20% to 35%. Where does that land us here? So assuming stocks don't move at all, which I think is a bad bet in this scenario, we could see 125K. Yeah, it's 125K for the 22%. Where's the 35? 35% sitting at a very familiar number. Interesting. Using that same analysis, this is actually very spicy. Using that same analysis, just connecting the high to the low, our 1618 sits right here, 138,000. That would be, it's actually a really solid upside target. If and when we break all-time high, to move to 138 would be, man, that'd be actually very, very solid target. It's right before 150. I think people would hold on for 150. It's like right around where they're about to buy in just for it to come back down and retrace again. Yeah, I like that. But Bitcoin versus stocks. This is a chart that people are not talking about that they should be talking about. This is bullish. It is looks like looking for continued bullishness, right? Similar to that M2 supply. Monthly covenant, damn. Things are just shaping up. The last chart that I'm really looking for to come into its own is total. But total has been lagging largely in this run, and obviously that is due to Bitcoin dominance stealing the show. But total looks a lot more like that Bitcoin SPX chart. In March, it didn't break all-time high. It finally did into November, fell back below. Back test not as clean, but now marching back up. So what is this? 3.7 trillion? What did we even go up yesterday? Like that could be like a day's worth of gains. 8%, 234 billion. Okay, not a day's worth of gains. A little bit more. Double yesterday's gains gets us back to that all-time high. When this happens, that is going to, in my opinion, be the bull for alts again. Dominance has shown a little weakness here. I bet a lot of you are breathing a breath of relief. As dominance finally takes a little tumble here. It has not hit 66%. I think it's probably foolish to assume that the top is in on this at this point. Man, honestly, I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that ages poorly, because when this is done, I think that's when we see those real explosive gains across the market, not just Bitcoin, but across the market and alts as well. I think it's still a little bit early to cut it short before 66. Doesn't seem like the best bet, but these candles, we have not seen them in quite some time. In fact, they look much more similar to this price action. November, maybe late November into December. You can see this clearly. The trend has changed a little bit in these last two candles. I would just be cautious here. This might be the first sign, honestly, that alts are at entry. I've been saying for a long time, I just don't think I can at all look at alts and say they're good buys yet. With this sell-off, I don't think necessarily that this is going to continue forever and it be full-blown alt season without seeing higher. But if Bitcoin now is moving up, is trending up against in USD pair, which it is, and dominance kind of is doing this dance, it's going to look for maybe one more large push to the upside. This could be the lowest point, or maybe even suggesting that the lowest point in alts already has come in April against dollars. It is suggesting maybe that they have not reached their bottom against Bitcoin in their BTC pairs, but they may not get cheaper in USD pairs until the bearish part of the cycle. That is interesting. That is worthy of looking at. I'm going to follow dominance closely, as I always do, but something tells me that dominance is still going to continue up over this year, at least for a little bit. See 66, maybe higher. Maybe our dreams of 70s is not going to come true. We'll find out. But I can pretty confidently say, looking even just at Ethereum here, that maybe the USD lows are in. Maybe. We really nailed Ethereum, man. It's funny. I think that I can trade, like, I think I might be the worst pair for me. I think might be Bitcoin USD. I think it's, maybe I have too much connection to it. I don't know what it is. Seems like all these other things I can trade better. Shorted and sold Ethereum at 4K. We bought basically the Pico bottom here. TBD. But Ethereum holding on to that previous support, flip to resistance. Held on to here. We've been talking for the last 2 weeks about this isn't guaranteed moon, but this is Ethereum breaking the pattern. And that is the beginning of hope for it. Yesterday, I would never have guessed we would have rocketed this far, this fast. But yesterday, closing above 2,150, trading all the way to 2,500. Here's my warning. Well, no, not yet. Not warning yet. I'll get to this in 1 second. Coupled with ETHBTC bouncing for the first time. I'll say this is like the first real bounce. What I'm looking for in Ethereum is for the ETHBTC pair to break 0.25. I want to see it break to 0.25. It'd be cool if it traded sideways for a little bit and then made a move to 0.33. But break a resistance on the ETH-BTC pair after doing what you've done on the USD pair. And I think Ethereum actually could have a pretty bullish short to mid-term. And you guys have had to sit through and listen to me talk shit on Ethereum and how I'm for all purposes, bearish on Ethereum since about December of last year. That may be changing. The USD pair rocketing here to 2,500 is not quite enough. I need that ETH-BTC pair to come into play. Or I will say this also on the USD pair could convince me. If you go to the monthly, look at these 4 months. They found support, major support here, 2,500. Double topped at 4,000, came back down, lower low. We're basically back to this previous support at 2,500, very close. This is a dangerous level. Rejecting from here for ETH could be very bad. If we can close May above 2,500, I think Ethereum has a very clear shot back to 4,000. If we close below 2,500, June comes around, I don't know, summer, July comes around, Ethereum sells off, that is a bad look. That to me would be the signal that this is not going to look to break this all-time high for a long time from 2021. But there's two conditions. We can see ETH-BTC break resistance at 0.25 or ETH-USD break 2,500, and it's interesting that they're a multiple of each other, 0.25, 2,500. Either of those will get me more bullish on Ethereum in the short to mid-term for the first time in a long time. Boom. Boom. What else we got here? I think that might have been it. I think that's my intro. That's the intro. All right, let me pull up the chat. It's Friday. I got nothing else for you. There we go. Oh, I meant to play this at the beginning.
Do I have your attention now? Do I have it? Good. I thought so.
Yes, you do, Bitcoin. Yes, you do. You got our attention. You have it. Good. You thought so. That clip just seems so fitting right now. It seems so fitting over the last 24 hours. I will say, guys, I'm not trying to make fun of Ben. The guy has some serious problems right now. I hope he's getting healthy wherever he is. But, man, all right, do I have your attention yet? How fitting. You absolutely do. What's weird, though, is it doesn't seem like retail. I think that we have retail's attention yet. Retail really wasn't even that interested up here at 110K. The last time retail was very interested in crypto was right here. It was November. I would say even late November. Mid to late November up until end of December. I see it in my analytics. I see it in Google Analytics or trends. We haven't had them for a while. In fact, maybe like the all-time high on XRP was like the 𝐂𝐴𝐾 retail. 150 days. Is he in jail right now, Randy? I assume. I do not know. I do not know for a fact. Ben and I have not spoken in a very long time, many years. I assume so. I don't want to like give out bad information about him. I have no idea, man. Suppressive Fire, I like the cut of your jib. Hope you're having a good day, brother. I'm having a great day. Thank you, man. I like the cut of your jib. You have a very classy jib on. Draw a fib from all-time high to recent low and add the 1313. That's not a fib number. From all-time high to recent low. So, right. So this fib. 1313. You want me to just add 1313? Okay, I'll just add 1313. Okay, what about it? You got what else? What else? Matthew Miller, my guy. How are you doing, bro? Happy Friday. What about this? So here's our 1313 at 114,969. What about it? I've never seen anyone use 1313. Dog is mad, dude, mad. Alchemist, what's up, man? Welcome back. The BitBoy clip made you unlurk. Yeah. Are you paying it? Do I have your attention yet? I mean, the problem with it is that the clip originally was such a sad clip. Like, it hurt me emotionally to see that. Now it just seems fitting and funny. I know. We're not laughing at BitBoy, though. We're laughing with him. And we're laughing at how he was able to so accurately capture yesterday's price action months in advance with that clip. Lost 50 million, took his Lambo. I mean, who knows? I don't know that. Guys, I don't know the truth of any of it. I'm not even going to speculate. I don't know. And to be honest, In Tune says I'd make fun of him. He deserves it. You guys know, Ben was very good to me in our channel when we started. This was like 2019. He was a friend of mine for a long time, and over time we just kind of saw things change around him and him change, and those changes didn't go in a good direction, and he ended up in a bad place. He shilled garbage. Yeah, but so does everybody, man. Like, you guys are spoiled being on this channel. We don't shill garbage. We don't shill none of that garbage, but like, look at YouTube. What percent of YouTube shills garbage? Oh, like 99%. It's just like shitcoins. 99% of them are scams. Can you find info from the court out? Yes, you can find it. You're right, Hookafish, but I'm not going to do that. 70-day sentence last month. All right, so we got like 30 more days, something like that. Nullish on Jibs. Oh yeah, bullish on Jibs, baby. Agreed on the video. I wanted to play that like first. This isn't it's not a White Claw. I wait to do the drink until post stream. How many pairs of sunglasses do I own? Not as many as you'd think. These ones that I'm wearing, I have worn these exact ones on this stream for months. I take very good care of these because you can't really get them anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have gone through different manufacturers over the years, and they've gotten harder and harder to find, and I know the day will come where I just can't find them. I've tried to find manufacturers that I could pay to make them, and I could like buy them in bulk. Didn't really work out. Not as many as you'd think. Cassie confirmed. Jeez. Can we see ADA? We'll look at ADA. That's the target of the harmonic pattern called a shark. I thought the shark was to the one. Wait, a shark doesn't go to 113 because that's not a fib number. Shark harmonic. Or maybe a bearish shark. I don't know, man. I don't know about these. Oh wait, maybe you're right. Maybe that is the shark pattern 1113. Oh no, that's a YouTube video. But a 113 is not a fib. Hold up, I'm like real quickly looking at this. Yeah, 113 to 161. Okay, 21618. No, wait, 8 to 113. You ain't wrong. Matthew Miller's right. It is. He's correct on that shark. The shark pattern of 115. I don't know. I've never been a harmonic man. I know traders, typically TradFi traders, stock traders, non-crypto traders that use harmonics. Not quite as popular in crypto. I have never been a harmonic pattern guy. However, I used to make fun of them when I was naive and young back in the day. Used to make fun of them, but they really are just fibs. They're just using the fib tool, but it's using like a visual kind of pattern way to identify it. So obviously they have value. It's just fibs, just putting them in a little bit kind of prettier setup. Add the 420 fib level. All right. You've convinced me. You've convinced. There is a 4272, but that's not 420. Let's add 420. All right, guys. Here we go. Bull run future. You're hearing it here first. The 420 fib. 373,000. Actually, I really like that number. Let's make it true. Let's just make it come true. You missed the ATB shows? All track. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely, bro. The BitBoy story is deep. It's deep. It's deep, man. ATB was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I love it. There are still people that remember me from ATB across or around the blockchain. I don't remember what it is. Across the blockchain? There are still people who remember me from there. To this day. It was so many years ago. Speaking of nothing, no one brought this up. Tesla finally hitting 300 today. Tesla breaking above its 200 daily moving average for the first time. I guess we had to fake out March. First time in a while. This chart actually is starting to look a lot better, but I would be cautious. I would be cautious. I can see Tesla, if it continues this rally, which I think is logical, maybe back testing the 200-day and moving to 360, or moving to 360, then back testing the 200-day. Either way, in the future, if Tesla is still bullish as a chart, 295 is probably going to be an entry. But I would be careful. Closing above the 200-day, I'd be careful because I don't. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm biased. I can acknowledge this. I just don't see it breaking its 360 mark. It's 618. It's golden fib retrace. I just don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it has to do with, you zoom out, and maybe I disagree with myself in some ways. You zoom out and this chart is very bullish. It's very bullish. Hold up. Long fibs. Let's get rid of some of this quick. Group these. Close these. There we go. You zoom out, and this is a pretty damn nice chart. You have a huge bull flag, or a huge, symmetrical triangle, whatever you want to call it. Breakout, all-time high in December. Return to that descending high trend. Now you're moving back up. Maybe I'm a little jaded because I feel like I've seen this in crypto, where it goes back to the 618, then comes back to the trend line and does like this. Maybe it's crypto has jaded me from this pattern. I don't know. But I think realistically, this is a strong pattern. As long as 215 holds, like you have a back test of a major trend line after an all-time high, it's not crazy to aim back to the all-time high. I think maybe part of my bias or part of my kind of cognitive bearishness, I don't know, the hurdle here for me is at 500, I feel like Tesla was just insanely overvalued. Like insanely overvalued. Tesla makes 1% of US cars. Up here, it was worth more than all other US car manufacturers combined. They're making 99% of all the US cars. It was worth more. Something about that doesn't sit right for me. And this is maybe part of kind of my overall distaste for stocks versus Bitcoin, among other reasons, is stocks have a defined value. It's like a service. A service has a defined value. What is your value? What is your service worth? And your service can be worth a lot. Don't get me wrong. A service can be worth tons. It can be worth millions, billions, whatever, of dollars. But it has a defined value where what it is you're offering in exchange for value has like a break point, right? Where it's no longer worth it. Bitcoin doesn't have that premise. And maybe it's something I like about Bitcoin not really being defined. People say store value, it's a currency, whatever. I like it. Maybe I prefer it being undefined because when things aren't defined like that, they don't have a defined value by definition. There is no number where it no longer makes sense in the same way. You can't say, well, Bitcoin, only does what percent of crypto, but is worth more than all the other cryptos combined. Like, it doesn't have that same logical roadblock for me. Maybe I have that in error. Maybe that's not the way to go. It's just the way it is for me. I just don't believe in stocks. I don't know what it is, man. Once Bitcoin was 30K and you were still long, let's go. Good vibes. How you doing, man? What's up, TWA? I see some of the OG-ish people coming back around, peeping their heads out. You remember those older years? I had a background of the inside of the Castle Power. Yeah, dude. That was the old days, TWA. You're an OG here. Still finding like myself as a YouTuber. Dude, the last thing I thought I would ever do was be on like streamer. I was always a social, like extroverted guy, but never would have thought I would do something like that. Because I've never been like artsy, so I never thought I'd make videos. I don't have like the creative side of me like that. That's funny. I love it when people show up after a long time. What's up, man? It's all manipulated. True that. Ace of Hearts is here. You're late. You're not late, baby. You're never late. A wizard arrives exactly when he means to. What's up, Downtown Music? King Crown. Thank you, Monkey. Tesla, the AI company. Yeah, I mean, and I guess that's the thing is like Tesla. I think of Tesla as cars, but maybe cars aren't going to be what they offer in the future, right? Maybe that has an explanation to higher highs. I think if they remain a car company, these prices don't make sense to me. There we go. I'll end it there. I'll put a plug in it there. There we go. Cross coming. Artsy, I'm not, man. I'm really not. You're not an OG. You're just old. What's up, Georgia? What's up, Tor Crash? How you doing, man? Ace of Hearts. Dave Cop. How you doing? I think you do this for fun. At one point, I did. Well, this has always been a job for me. You guys know my origin story. The OGs out there do. It's always been a job for me. But let's say at one point, certainly, it was more fun than it is now. I think if you do anything over and over and over again, it loses some of that fun, right? Some of that charm. And especially when you're obligated to do something. If I was a bajillionaire and like, you know, didn't have to do this as a job in the beginning and I just streamed whenever I just felt like it and didn't when I didn't want to, I think it would have remained a lot more fun. But like having to stay consistent on YouTube to just get out there every day, like every week, probably should have taken some time off regardless, kind of let myself not burn out as much. I think it would have remained more fun for longer. Not to say it isn't fun, but it definitely has times where it is not fun here on YouTube, where you're just doing it because you have to do it. Obligation is the killjoy. What's up, Harvin? I see you, man. Crimson. Tesla's not just cars. True. I also, though, I also, this is going to sound crazy to you guys. I also have skepticism about AI. When we first started hearing about it, I was the biggest advocate. Biggest advocate. It has a place in the future. It's not going anywhere. It's just like Bitcoin. Has a place in the future. It's not going anywhere. It's only going to grow. We're only going to see more in everyday life and everyday interaction of AI. It is weirdly like crypto in ways. So AI, the way I view it, is in ways like open source like crypto. And there's just fundamentally a problem when it comes to business and open source is people just can take what you have, make it a little better, package it and sell it. It's kind of why when people come to me and say, dude, this blockchain has 8 million transactions per second. It confirms transactions in the past. It breaks the quantum timeline, like whatever. It's like, hey, that's really cool. One, the market doesn't seem to care. But two, the problem is if it's open sourced, someone's just going to come along in a year or two and they're just going to do the same thing and improve on it. And now it's, instead of 8 trillion things a second, it's 9 trillion. And so does that make it better? I don't know. AI, it seems kind of like that. It's all being trained off all this data, and that data is all the same data. And so, like, yes, I think there'll be advancements, and I think certainly AI has only more of a part of the future. I just wonder how it really becomes monetized. You can sell subscriptions and shit, yeah, but like people can just rip it. And so, like, where does the proprietary come in? Where does the capitalism like really come in on it? And maybe there's an answer. I'm not pretending to have all the answers or saying this definitively, but like, I'm not sure I see it. I'm not sure I understand it. I understand that it's not going anywhere and that it's going to continue growing and it's only going to get bigger. I'm just not sure how people are going to capitalize it in the way we have traditionally capitalized on advancements and things. We'll see. Cars equals about 1% of the projects they're working on. What percent of their income, though, Infinite Team TA, does cars represent? What of their revenue? I'm going to look this up right now. Tesla, what percent of revenue is cars? Is cars. 74% of its total revenue is cars. So here we go. If we're going, like, we can entertain, okay, well, cars are only 1% of the projects they're working on. I think there's a logical problem here is if they're only 1% working on cars and they're 75% revenue cars, that doesn't seem right. That seems kind of broken, dude, doesn't it? I don't know. Seems odd. We'll see. You guys have been here, you know, I was the biggest Elon and the biggest Tesla fanboy for a long time. I would say, like, I mean, before I started streaming even, but like 17, 18, 19, I idolized Elon Musk and Tesla, and I thought that they were one of the only valuable companies in the US, and that may still even be true, though I'm saying these things. But it isn't a question of are they valuable. They're without a doubt valuable. The question is, are they worth more than all of the other auto manufacturers combined in the US? I don't think so. You're welcome to disagree, though. That's just my thoughts. Doesn't believe in real companies making tangible products, but believes in magic internet money. Robert, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I won't disagree. But there's some flaws there in your statement. What it is more of the concept of infinite value, right? I just had a long tirade about services having a defined value. If you wash cars, washing cars has a value. Cars need to be washed. It helps them not rust, whatever arguments. It has a value, but it's not an infinite value. It isn't a value that can just forever scale outside of general inflation, etc. Like, it's not something with no cap. Like, it has a defined value. And that is not saying, like, I'm not saying it doesn't have value. That's the biggest point. But the defined value, the cap on it, is why I don't believe in stocks the same way. They have, in many ways, like a defined literal value. And that is why I was saying I like that Bitcoin doesn't necessarily have a defined purpose, that its purpose is still a little vague, a little undefined still, being written, because once we have that, once it's a currency, once it's a store of value, those things like put it in a box, and all companies are in that box. Bitcoin's not in that box yet. That's at least how I see it. It's not that they don't value. It's just that I see it being capped. Vash Lash asks, can a gay person buy crypto? Vash, absolutely you can buy crypto, bro. Don't let anyone say otherwise. Anyone, anywhere can buy crypto. AI is going to self-learn exponentially faster than predicting. There's no way to control it. I don't doubt that, really. I think it becomes runaway. I think that just bolsters my statement, though, of how do you monetize that? How do you turn that into a product? When it begins just running away, when you can't control it, how do you make it a product? The answer is you don't. You can't. You care for this stuff, Tesla? Yeah, me neither. You're an Elon fangirl? I used to be. It's exactly Matthew Miller, an OG of this channel, smart guy. I love when you're here, brother. Says that was exactly one of the arguments against Bitcoin. The answer is the same. Bitcoin is an idea, and ideas are unstoppable. I think we're using different words to describe the same thing. Bitcoin is an idea. Ideas are not in that box. Ideas are bigger. Ideas are uncapped or undefined. Why pay for the data we've already collected? We all have been the biggest scam of all of our lives. We've had a lot of scams here, especially if you're a millennial. You've been scammed a lot by the world. The biggest scam, though, of our entire lives, we'll never know the true value. I think the true value is like infinite. But the biggest scams of our entire life is the fact that all of our data has been taken from us, monetized in every direction, and we have received $0. We've had our data taken from us and then basically sold back to us. Biggest scam ever. No shirt live stream. At 1 million, baby. AI in the future will do my stream for you. Well, that'd be a good future. The NSA is all data. Outlaw certain aspects of AI and funnel to most lobby companies. I mean, they'll try to do that. Nostalgic, you're right. But it ain't gonna work. Can't stop it. Tom can be a fangirl if he wants. Who am I a fangirl of? Really very few people anymore. Very few. Fanboy, maybe. If you're a fanboy, not a fangirl. True. Got me. Meme coins are also an idea. Does it mean they're priceless? So, again, you guys are confusing pricelessness with defined price. Just because something doesn't have a defined price doesn't mean it's valuable. Right? Doesn't guarantee the value. It just doesn't have that defined value. I would say in the same way, though, yes, meme coins are like, they don't have a cap in that sense. And we've seen it. Coins that do nothing. We've seen them trade to billions of dollars of market cap. Yeah. Runaway AI, Skynet. I mean, that's coming, though. We know that's coming. The highest purpose is no purpose. I actually agree. I agree. Once you define something like that, once something has a specific specific function. This, like, you put it in a little box of that function. Does gold have a defined value? I would say gold has a defined value. Yeah, certainly. No, I'll go one step further. It does. Gold has a defined value. Absolutely. Because we use it in manufacturing. We use it in electronics. We use it in spaceship shielding, heat shielding, radiation shielding, whatever. I would argue that if gold didn't have those properties, if gold wasn't used in electronics, if it wasn't used for whatever it is, I don't know all the uses, but I know it is used in, like, literally as a material. If it didn't have those, I think gold would have less, or I think gold would be at a higher price. There we go. I think it'd be at a higher price. I think it would have gained more over the last many decades. I think that having a defined use like that caps it. It stops it. These are my thoughts. You guys don't have to agree. This is just what I think. Same gender. God, what are you guys are? What are you even talking about? What are you talking about? You were asking for a friend, Vash? Hey, no worries, bro. There's no judgments here. There's no judgments, man. You guys be in whatever you want. That's one thing about this channel and this community. It's one of the few on the internet where you're allowed to disagree. You're allowed to view things differently. I don't want you to just parrot what I believe. I want you to have your own thoughts. I want you to challenge me. As long as it's polite, as long as it's civil, as long as it's in good faith, really. I don't want you to just agree with me. It's boring. I guess the bear market starts when people realize that undefined value equals probably nothing. I'm not sure, Alex. I'm not sure how that... I feel like there's a concept being mixed up here. If oil is used to power cars, there is a definable, quantifiable number where oil doesn't make sense anymore. If it costs $1 million to drive 1 mile, it doesn't make sense. I know that's exaggerated. It doesn't make sense to drive using oil. When something has a specific function or service or offering, it becomes pegged to the value of that offering. Now, the value of that offering can increase if all of a sudden, I don't know, Uber comes around and driving is more valuable, then that number moves up, but it's defined by the product or the service or the good. When something doesn't have that, I believe it has less of a like defined capped value. I don't know. These are just my thoughts. Just how I feel. Tom was right about you guys know I'm not a bragger, man. Honestly, I think we'd have a lot more followers on every platform if I was more of a bragger, if I was less humble. Because it seems like that's really just like what makes people follow you, is like, even if you're just bullshitting, if you're totally wrong all the time, the one time you're right, being like, look, I'm always right. Look at that. Like, people seem to follow those people. But I'll brag about ETH for a second. Dude, we absolutely nailed this chart. We slayed this, and then we bought the bottom live, like shared it with you. I literally, this whole time, you guys have been here this whole time. I said, I'm a perma bull. It hurts me to not be bullish on Ethereum. And I even said things like, I don't want to say I'm bearish. I'm just not bullish on it. It hasn't shown me to be bullish. It hasn't proven to me that I should be. And it just kept falling and falling and falling and falling. And then right here, I said, this is where I'm going to look to re-enter some. I'm not rebuying all of it. It's not like a huge percent or anything, but I'm going to look to re-enter right here on the sells that I had at 4K. We called us to the T, man. To the T. I should brag more. I'm just not a bragger. Does anybody want to brag for me? Like, I'll hire you. I'll pay you $1 a day. And like, you just go around and you just gloat for me. I think that'll help our channel. Help our fam grow. You're in it for the tech, same. PR crypto. In general, do you think Trump in his personal participation has helped or hurt the market so far? I think it's pretty hard to argue that since inauguration, he has helped the markets. I mean, this isn't a person. This has nothing to do with politics here. It's just look at charts. Charts are at all-time highs. They haven't been since. I don't think, though, that really has any significant impact on Bitcoin, good or bad. Like, I mean, bad. I mean, having like all-time highs bad, but like, I don't think that it has really changed the course of this chart. This is exactly like, and as time goes on, we see this Like, I think it's going to prove more and more. This is just exactly the same thing that we have seen every year since the bottom. We've seen some kind of expansive move up, a pullback, a death cross, marks the bottom, we move back up. This happened 1, 2, 3 years in a row. If like, I don't know, if markets had continued up when after inauguration, but then pulled back, at like this death cross, this bottom being marked would probably happen anyway in this year. It might have happened at a higher price. Who knows? That's just speculation. I think it, at this point, it just doesn't really matter. I don't know. It's a loaded question, Jim. It's a loaded question. I think I'll just stick to the chart. I think I have to side with hurt until we see all-time highs in markets. We see all-time highs in the S&P, and then we can say, well, maybe it wasn't really hurt. Maybe it was just that pullback, that relief that we needed, the arrow bowstring being pulled back to be released to shoot. Until then, I think I can lean the other way, but I don't want to make it political. It's not really like that. I don't think that this is solely because of Trump or something. I think there are people out there who would make that argument, and they could look at data and they could back it, but like I think that's mostly just they just don't like Trump, and that's what they want to say. Yeah, I think this would have happened regardless. Might have looked different though. Look at Dead Squirrel. Here's a brag. Thank you, Ace. Brag for me. This weekend, bullish or bearish? Sideways-ish. I think the best we can hope for is sideways. It would be really cool to get a weekend pump, but it's just hard to adjust expectations after 100, how many days of down, days of pain. Let's say the pain kind of stopped April 20th. 90 days of pain, and realistically, this was even pain. This 100 days of sideways. It's hard to change and be like, all right, now we're just going to move up. I did go long yesterday. I did flip all of my shorts to longs. I don't know if that's going to age well or not, but oh, I just got an email from the Bitcoin conference. JD Vance will be speaking at the Bitcoin conference. Meh. I don't care. I don't care. I'm surprised, honestly, Trump isn't speaking at it again. He spoke at it last time. I kind of expected him to this time. Is there a literal shitcoin? I mean, there's poo coin, there's fart coin, there's been shitcoins. I mean, it for the girls as well. Vash, you're talking too much about how much you love women, man. After asking if gay people can buy Bitcoin, it does not matter to anyone here. We don't care. You're allowed to. You do you, man. Whatever. Pursue your own happiness. Love is love. Bitcoin going down over the weekend from a CME gap, says Fred. We haven't looked at a CME gap in a little bit. Let's take a peek. Time to update CME gap. On Wednesday, we cleared the only CME gap above us. Nice. Actually, but then we technically we opened another gap immediately after at like the same price. So Wednesday traded up to 80 or 98.2, closed at 96.6 for CME. Opened Thursday. Typically we only look at CME gaps on the weekend, but this is a gap. Thursday it opened at 97.7, traded down to 97.3, and then moved up. That did technically leave a gap here. It did technically leave a gap. Traded up, closed down. Technically, we have a gap here too, right? CME, I'm glad you actually looked at this. CME is unusually gappy, actually, over since this is going to tie the whole stream together, boys and girls. Since when? April 22nd. If you weren't here for the beginning of the stream, I recommend you rewatch it after the live. April 22nd. Since April 22nd, CME has become extremely gappy. Weird. It was very ungappy before that. We can see the bullish kissing coming in here with our moving averages on CME. I like that. I like that a lot. No gaps above us at the moment. So many gaps below us. So many. Historical gaps, we'll call them. Gaps all the way down. We'll see you on Monday. But it's not enough. Few good, few solid, but it's not enough. I've been listening to Kendrick Lamar's new album. I know I'm late. It's pretty catchy. Pretty catchy. Isn't the Bitcoin conference soon? Yeah, you know, I just realized this. The Bitcoin conference is at the end of this month. It's May 27th or 26th. I just realized this. The last Bitcoin conference, wasn't it in September of last year? So there's only been like 6 months since the last one. Seems weird. Seems odd. New York profit taking incoming? I don't know about that, man. Betting down right now seems like such a wild bet. Referring more to the industry. All right, Crypto Jim. Crypto Jim asked about, do I think Trump has hurt or helped the crypto space, I guess, since his inauguration? And I answered based on charts and stuff, but I didn't see this comment. You said you're referring more to the industry, growing crypto, making it mainstream. Then I can definitively say I think Trump has helped with that. I think this administration has absolutely helped with that. Price hasn't reflected it yet, which is odd, but absolutely. Yeah, definitively, yes. I think Trump and the administration have come in and opened our space into more mainstream. Absolutely. It would be very hard to argue otherwise. News is always misdirection. It's a really complicated way to live. I don't disagree. News is very largely misdirection. But then where do we get data from? Where do we get data from? Where are the sources of data? Maybe this is why I'm drawn to the charts. Charts are definitive. They're data. They're unbiased. They're unbiased. That's really where I'm going to leave it at. They don't bend to wills. They bend to money. I think I missed some super chats. My bad, Infinite Team TA. I didn't see this. $5 Canadian. Been watching me rocket since 2019. Crypto G. Thank you, man. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. We have been rocking it. In June, so next month, I think we'll mark the 6-year anniversary of this channel, which is bonkers. What's up, Ronald Unating? Super chatting $5. Showing love for Tom Crown. Thank you, man. Stay humble, I know, but I need other people to brag for me. Stay humble. We're all Gucci. XRP Army, humble brag. Oh, man. XRP is having a good year. XRP, actually. 250. 250, my friend. Oh, it almost hit 250. Well, 244 or whatever. Good longs. Still looking good. We'll see what happens at 250. Didn't even ask for the chart, but chart's looking good, man. Looking good. Congrats. But it's not enough. But it's not enough. Gotta be careful when I sing Kendrick Lamar. A lot of words I shouldn't be saying in there. A lot of words. Oh, man. I know we have mostly just the OGs. There's no real new viewers out there. But if you are on this channel for the first time, why don't you say hi? I'd appreciate you saying hello, introducing yourself. It's a good time to do it before the flux of retail comes in and you just get washed into the crowd. Also, if you haven't hit that like button on the stream, there's still time. Smash that like button. Pepe had a nice pump. I bet most things do. I bet most things did. The memes didn't help. You are the gap filler. Thank you, Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy? Fill up them gaps? All right, I will. Parents, look, I own 0.001% of a house. Millennial life. Hashtag. Price, see, hookah fish, that's also what I'm thinking. Price, has always crashed. Price has always been bearish. Right up into the conference and into the conference. It's always sold off while I'm there. This does, I don't know. Last month I was like, I'm not going. I hate Vegas. I don't want to go. Now that we've pumped, if we go to all-time high, I'll definitely be here. This could be the first time where we actually see price moving up into it. It's kind of wild. Tore up drank, headshot drank. House is going to be tokenized? Sure. Can we check cake amen? All right, we can pull it up. Be interesting not to see those gaps filled until next bear market. Well, land on the prairie. I think there's gaps that will just literally never be filled. There's gaps that will never be filled. I'm not one to say with certainties of never. It just doesn't age well. We're never going to see this filled. This will never fill, man. 9K will never fill. If 9K fills, we have huge problems. Huge problems. Never going to happen. What is 𝐂𝐽? I feel like we looked at 𝐂𝐽 not that long ago for some reason. I like the CME chart, honestly, because it seems to be more bullish. 𝐂𝐽 doesn't look bad. Doesn't look great, but it doesn't look bad. Our short got stopped, but it was still a good short. The right mind was there, 250 down to 175. We got stopped by like a few pennies. Higher low, lower highs. 𝐂𝐽 is going to make a crazy breakout, but the problem is I don't know what direction it's going to break out in. It could be down. I don't know. Lower highs, higher lows, dude. This is just like building and building and building pressure. This is a pot of boiling water with the lid just tight on it. It's getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and that water just wants to explode out. Which direction? No, that's going to be hard. I think the market's going to trend up. I think we're going to have new all-time highs by the end of the year. So, I mean, I would guess up. But it's a hard call, man. This chart has not had a good time. In last year when everything was rallying, this shit barely got off its bottom. Like, yeah, it 3x'd, but like, it barely broke highs, right? Didn't go back anywhere near its all-time high of the previous cycle. Maybe that's coming. Maybe we're looking for like that $10 thing. Back to the 618 or something, but man, there's a lot of energy building up there. And it will make a very volatile move. Likely when the rest of the market moves, but it will. I don't know what direction. I think you could make a trade just based on that, looking for a high volatility move. But I'm not even gonna like weigh in on it at this moment. I just lower highs, higher lows. It's consolidating, it's squeezing. It's looking for that break. My streams turn to the most fun chats. That's because where else in the world, where else anywhere in 2025 can you just, I don't know, talk about things and not be hated for your opinion, no matter what it is? You're like, I think people should be happy. And there's like someone like, nah, dude, nah, people shouldn't be, nah, not those people. Those people should be sad. Like, nah, man, I don't, nowhere. I hate that about the world. Somehow the world has become like very angry and competitive in ways it never was. In ways that just make it sad. We used to love each other like 10 years ago. I don't know. I don't even know how many years ago. I feel like it really was pre-2020, like pre-COVID. People like loved each other. It'd be like, you'd have a friend group and it would be all kinds of opinions. There'd be like people who are obsessed with Trump, people who kind of like Trump, people who kind of hate Trump, people who hate Trump, and they'd all be friends. They'd all hang out. It wouldn't be a big deal. And now it's like, you can't be friends with people unless they think the exact same as you. What a shitty existence. Shitty existence. It's the worst thing about these times. And it isn't just Trump. It's just all ideas. All ideas. If you don't have the same view of all ideas as other people, like they're your enemy. They're not your enemy, man. We're just people. The close on CME does not correspond to the daily candles. I hate when charts do bullshit like this. What do you mean? I see what you mean. Dude, what? What? This doesn't make any sense, dude. What? That makes no sense whatsoever. Health insurance is calling me. It makes no sense whatsoever. What? How can Wednesday on the daily close at 96.6 when literally it closed at 98.3? Let's go to the hour. What's happening here? This is some bad data. This doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Maybe we get rid of these because they actually don't really look like gaps. That's so weird. What? My mind was just blown. Thank you, Jim. That's so weird. It's 3 o'clock. Yeah, fixed chart. That is weird. That is, I don't have an explanation. That doesn't make sense. Don't make any sense. I like this chart. What? There we go. I don't like how much is being tested as support on low time frames. That gives me this vibes. Gives me these vibes. I don't like that. I mean, yeah, except like if people are like fiat people, yeah, I mean, that makes sense to hate them regardless. You could agree to not disagree anymore. Okay. People are toxic now, but people have always been toxic, King Andrew. The difference is people were toxic but could, I don't know, still be friends. It's more like the toxicity that people have didn't define them as humans before. And now it's like their defining trait. And if like you're not toxic in the way they're toxic, then you're a bad person. It's weird. You vape weed now? Amen, Blue Fire. Or Blue Mountain. Amen. There you go, man. Give us analysis on Chill Guy. All right. I did see Chill Guy made some moves. I have a feeling without even looking at it that it's not going to be super exciting. But we'll take a look. Again, Soul coming out of the trenches. Wow, Chill Guy even has a crypto. Wow. Even has like a lifetime chart. Ugh. Dude, you guys are just the biggest degens. Y'all just want to be broke. You just want to be broke. You want to be poor. You just want to lose all your money. You want to give all of your money. You want to just give it all away to these scammers. I understand. Why does it keep getting rid of my... Why is this -3? That's so weird. No. Okay, good. There you go. Little retracement here back to the upside. Here's the reason. Chill Guy's up 300%. It went up 350% from its low. Yeah, but why in the fuck would you ever buy? Why would you ever have bought it here to ride this up? The answer is you wouldn't have. If you did it just randomly. Like anyone who's like, I bought Chill Guy at 1.7 cents and I'm a genius. Yeah, dude, you're either just a dumbass because you bought it here. It broke market structure, all-time low, and you bought it here because you're just dumb, or you're lying. There's no technical, like, why would you do that there? It's crazy. I hate when people do that. They're like, it's up so much, you could have just bought the bottom. It's like, but why would you have bought the bottom? Buying the bottom would have been the craziest idea. There was no reason to do it. And the answer is only the people who, the only people controlling this chart bought that bottom. And people who accidentally or randomly did as well. Those people also. Very rare. There's nothing you could been confident about and been like, okay, the bottom's in. I'm going to invest here, make it like a clean play. No. Maybe you held it, you round tripped it, but you're probably still underwater if you round tripped it. Remember, this was at 70 cents, traded down to 1.7 cents. You watched it go 98% down. Now it's up 300%. That's not a great sign. If I wasn't along, if I was you guys who are degens and you're buying into it, I'd probably take some profit at 15 cents right here, right around the 618 weekly order block. First failed support breakdown. Not a bad spot to look. 15 cents. There you go. There's your Chill Guy. I know somebody asked about it on Monday or Wednesday, and I was like, no, not today, man. There you go. Chill Guy in the books. You'll be puffing it later. Amen. 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐫𝐭. I'm sure there are coins that are up. Clever Custom Performance. What's up, brother? What is up, my friends? All right, we've been live for a while. It's Friday. I want to get my Friday on. Actually, really the reason that we need to end the stream is I have to go do the other stream. We got another stream in Crown Crypto Discord exclusive live stream. coming in hot for members of Crown Crypto. Go to joincrowncrypto.com. You can get a free week trial. You can even sign up right now, get the free week trial, jump into this one. But we're going to have to wrap it up. This has gone longer than I expected. We started later too. I do love you guys. I know today wasn't super hype. I don't know why. They'll come. Retail's coming. I think we have to see alts make the moves that you guys are maybe even bringing up right now. We see some stuff moving. Chill guys up. Cakes up today. I don't know. If that continues, we will likely see some excitement come back into this space. But probably not until then. Maybe Bitcoin breaking all-time high, but I kind of don't think that will bring them back. Monero, you sexy beast. You sexy beast, Monero. Yeah, but I got to bounce. I'll catch you guys Monday. If Bitcoin blasts off this weekend, you better believe we'll be live. Stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed. You're in the Discord. Turn your notifications on. Be here. Sign up with the links in the video description below. You know the deal, guys. I love you all.